This trip began with questions. What would Mongolia be like? Would my family enjoy it? Would we feel safe, well-fed, at ease? The idea of visiting Mongolia always felt far away. Not because I didn't want to go, but because I wasn't sure what to expect. It's one of those countries you hear about in history books, or maybe see on a documentary late at night. But beyond that, it felt like flying into a sky full of clouds. Everything around you is white, wide, and unknown. Getting there wasn't simple. There were no direct flights from where I live, so I had to transit through Beijing. Flying over Beijing, the view below was a mix of dense neighborhoods and pockets of green. Apartment towers stretched far into the distance, but between them were wide roads, clean parks, and tree-lined streets. From above, the city looked modern and orderly, a grid of highways cutting through bursts of foliage. And yet, a couple hours later, as we began our descent into Ulaanbaatar, everything changed. The landscape faded from green to gold. Fields stretched endlessly in every direction, broken only by winding rivers and scattered white yurts. There were no city blocks, no traffic, just land. So much of it. In late spring, the snow was gone, but summer hadn't quite arrived. The earth looked raw and dry, like it had been untouched for centuries. We touched down at Chinggis Khaan International Airport, Mongolia's newly opened international hub. Built in 2021, it was quiet, modern, and surprisingly efficient. In fact, it might have been one of the most peaceful airport arrivals I've ever had. No chaos, no long lines, just calm. It was a pleasant surprise to see some Korean shops at the arrivals hall, like CU Convenience Store, Tom and Tom's. There was a small crowd of guides holding signs. One of them had ours. That small moment, seeing our name printed on a board in a foreign country, felt heartwarming. We stopped for lunch at Modern Nomads, a restaurant right inside the airport. It's a local chain that brings Mongolian food into a modern, almost upscale setting. When we sat down, we were greeted with gift bags from our guide. Tiny packets of camel milk, local vodka, pine nuts, and handmade sweets. It was such a warm, unexpected gesture. Our first real taste of Mongolia came in the form of Bituu Shul, a mutton soup sealed with dough. You poke the crust open with your spoon, releasing steam and broth. The taste? Hearty, earthy, clean. Our guide told us it's a go-to for recovery when someone's sick, exhausted, or just needs something nourishing. Then came Khuushuur, a deep-fried meat pastry, golden and blistered. You're supposed to pick it up with your hands, but I didn't know that yet. I tried cutting it, and of course all the juice spilled out. Oops, lesson learned. We also had stir-fried noodles and sutate sai, Mongolia's salty milk tea. It's not sweet, not even close. Just warm, slightly briny and oddly comforting. Not everyone will love it, but it made sense here. Mongolian food is straightforward, meaty, unfussy. It reflects the climate, tough winters, little agriculture, and a culture shaped by survival. But even if you don't eat red meat like my parents, you'll find options. Chicken soup, vegetable stews, even mushroom broth hot pots. My concerns before coming, about diet, about food safety, started to melt away. As we wrapped up lunch, our guide handed us the Mongolian turik that we booked. Thick, colourful bills with images of Chinggis Khaan and national landmarks. It's nearly impossible to get turik outside the country, so having cash on hand felt like holding something distinctly local, something real. After lunch, we drove into Ulaanbaatar. The highway was smooth and flanked by vast plains. Our guide explained something I didn't expect. Much of the land is public. If you want to pitch a yurt, you just go. No paperwork, no fees. It felt like the opposite of everything I'd grown up with. Then, almost suddenly, the city appeared. Buildings got taller, cars multiplied. The open sky narrowed, traffic grew heavier. We'd arrived in the capital. Since it was our first day, we kept things light. We walked through the Ulaanbaatar National Amusement Park. Locals call it Mongolian Urgu. It's old, Soviet-era old, and it shows.
In 1990, Mongolia, this area was like that. There, if you notice that there is nothing in the glassy tower around here.
The rides weren't open yet. The weather was still cold. But the park had a charm to it. Quiet paths, bright signage, and kids chasing each other through empty spaces. You could tell this is where the city comes to breathe in summer. Evening traffic was a reminder we were definitely in a city. From where I stood at the intersection, the air filled with honking and engine noise. Cars nudged their way down the road. Pedestrians moved fast, weaving between lanes, heads down. It was chaotic but not unfamiliar, the kind of city rhythm that pulses louder at dusk. Dinner was at Choijin Temple restaurant, right next to the historic Choijin Lama Temple. It's known as one of the best Western restaurants in Ulaanbaatar. The menu had everything from pasta to steak to grilled fish. I was shocked they even had seafood. Mongolia is landlocked after all. After dinner, we checked into Millennium Plaza Hotel. Clean, central. Our room had floor-to-ceiling windows with views over the city, and I remember just standing there for a moment, watching the lights come on one by one. The next morning started with a test of patience. Rush hour in Ulaanbaatar isn't just traffic, it's gridlock. At one intersection, we waited 45 minutes while drivers ignored signals and boxed each other in. Our guide sighed and said, "Sometimes people still drive like they ride horses. No rules. Freestyle." Eventually, we reached Gandan Monastery, Gandantegchinlen. It's the largest and most important monastery in the country. During the Soviet years, many temples were destroyed. this one survived. Inside stands a 26.5-meter tall statue of Avalokitesvara, the Bodhisattva of compassion. It's covered in gold and semi-precious stones. It is majestic. To use the prayer wheels, spin them in clockwise direction and recite your prayers.
Oldest and most historic and until up to date it's active ones. Buddhist, Mongolian religious.
The Gandan Monastery is huge. It consists of multiple temples and educational buildings. We kept walking through smaller temples, classrooms, and monks going about their day. Gandan means great place of complete joy, and in that moment, it made sense. I sat in one of the classrooms. The air smelled like butter lamps and incense. I couldn't understand the chants, but I didn't need to. I just felt at peace. As we continued down the main roads, Korean cafes and shops began to appear. Convenience stores, beauty salons, fried chicken joints. It wasn't just a sprinkle of globalization, it was a pattern. Our guide explained that Korean culture is huge here. In fact, South Korea hosts the largest Mongolian population outside Mongolia, and that cultural exchange flows both ways, especially in Ulaanbaatar. Eventually we reached Sükhbaatar Square, the heart of Mongolia's independence story. This is where in 1921, dammed in Sükhbaatar declared freedom from Chinese rule. Today, the square is flanked by government buildings and a massive statue of Chinggis Khaan presiding over it all. It felt symbolic, both historical and forward-looking. This is the skyline of Ulaanbaatar that I wasn't expecting before my trip. Tall office towers and apartment blocks rising sharply against the backdrop of dark mountains. In the late afternoon, we hit what our guide called real Mongolian traffic, and he wasn't joking. It was gridlocked, chaotic, every bit as intense as Bangkok at rush hour. But in that stop-and-go crawl, something else commanded attention, the sheer density of new structures jostling around us. Gleaming glass facades reflected the stalled chaos, while skeletal frames of towers reached higher still, wrapped in scaffolding and nets. Everywhere, the raw energy of construction. Steel skeletons, fresh concrete, the thud of pile drivers spoke of a city wholly focused on building its future. As the sun began to set, we climbed the 300 steps to the Zaisan Memorial. Built by the Soviets in the 1970s, it stands in honor of Mongolia's alliance with the USSR during World War II. The circular mural at the top shows scenes of friendship, soldiers, scientists, even space exploration, carved into stone. For first-time visitors, it's both a piece of political history and a lens into how Mongolia remembers its global ties. From the top, the view was expansive, a full sweep of Ulaanbaatar nestled between rolling hills. Tall buildings clustered at the city's heart, while suburban neighborhoods scattered outward like brushstrokes on a wide canvas. Compared to cities like Tokyo or New York, Ulaanbaatar felt more open, more spread. But the haze was unmistakable. Below us, twin factory stacks pierced the skyline, pumping steady streams of grey gas into the air. They thickened the soft, persistent smog hanging over the city, a stark reminder of Ulaanbaatar's battle with pollution. Especially when winter forces thousands to burn coal for survival. Still, in that golden hour light, with the mountains shadowing the edge of the city, it was hard not to be moved. It was the kind of quiet that asks you to stop, just for a moment, and take it all in. We ended the day at the Bull Hotpot Restaurant VIP, a quiet, private room with individual pots bubbling in front of us. Despite it being a Chinese-style hot pot, the restaurant used local Mongolian beef and mutton, and the quality was outstanding. The meat had a depth of flavour that felt different from what we were used to back home. My parents, who don't eat beef and mutton, were served a rich mushroom broth paired with fresh vegetables and fish slices. The meal was simple, but it meant a lot to us. Our guide had chosen this spot with intention, knowing how important food is in shaping a travel experience. One meal, thoughtfully planned, told us everything. That we were welcome, that we'd be looked after, and that this journey was going to be something special. Remember, this trip began with questions. What would Mongolia be like? Would my family enjoy it? Would we feel safe, well-fed, at ease? After just 36 hours, I had my answer. Mongolia was more modern than I imagined, more welcoming than I could have hoped. And my parents, they loved it. But as our guide reminded us, you haven't seen the real Mongolia until you've stepped into the countryside. The vast grasslands, the nomadic way of life, the silence so wide you can hear your own thoughts. This, what we've seen so far, is just the introduction. In the next few videos, we will explore beyond the city lights, where the land stretches endlessly and the sky feels impossibly close. That's where we're heading next. See you out on the steppe.